So I'm out here in the North Georgia mountains with Toyota, and we are testing a bunch of different Toyota models. And one of them is the Toyota Tundra 1794 edition with the TRD Off-road package, because we're doing a little bit of off-roading, and you know, some of it's quite challenging. First and foremost, right out of the way, this thing is handling itself just fine on the off-road courses and obstacles. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I like the Toyota Tundra, but I don't like it as much as I like the Tacoma, the 4Runner, the Sequoia, most of the other vehicles that are here. We even have a RAV4 Woodland Edition, so check that video out if you haven't seen it already. We also have a lot of noisy birds over here. There's like a bird attack going on. I don't want to be a part of that right now. But I have the 1794 edition because one of my criticisms about the Toyota Tundra has often been that I think the styling is okay. I'm not the biggest fan of the exterior styling, but I thought the interior when I first had the Toyota Tundra was like fine, right? It's just fine in terms of the market, where GM, Ford, Ram have been doing this sort of premium truck thing for a little bit longer, and they kind of go after more of what buyers want. But here's the thing, with the 1794 edition, Toyota has kind of taken the fight to the big three, and I think this is finally what some of you might expect when you think of what a premium Tundra should be like. So let's take a look at that. Now, obviously, when it comes to styling, I think that's always a matter of opinion. It's always subjective. But I will say that as someone who has criticized the way that the Toyota Tundra has looked in the past, I think here in this brown color, which I keep calling bronze and brown at the same time, I'm having a lot of trouble with that, actually. Maybe I'll put the actual color name on the screen, just, you know, for fun. But I think that it looks pretty good here, okay? Obviously, the fall colors are helping. The sun is peeking through the clouds, and so it's sort of showering the Toyota Tundra with all the best light and all the best background. But I think it looks like a pretty handsome truck with the sort of brownsy bronze color, brownsy bronze, and the black TRD wheels. But where they really made a premium upgrade was the interior. So let's take a look at that in a second. But first, let's look at a couple of the practical applications, just in case you're new to the whole Toyota Tundra thing, or you're thinking about switching brands, or you're thinking about upgrading, or you're just thinking, I need a really big, nice truck. So this is the Toyota Tundra's 5.5-foot bed. You can get it in the larger one, I think it's 6.5 feet, and you do get the little trick button that drops the tailgate. Now, obviously the tailgate is damped, but it's not powered, so you don't have a power up and down, and also you don't have a lot of the gimmickry that you see in the big three. So you don't have tailgates that split apart, open up, reveal steps, and all that other kind of doodad, you know, stuff that could break. Let's be honest, it could break, and you don't necessarily want the tailgate to break on your truck, whether you're using it as an everyday vehicle, a semi-luxury vehicle, or a work vehicle. So that's something to keep in mind. Sometimes when Toyota plays it kind of close to the chest, they're doing that because of their reputation for reliability, and the more stuff you add like that, the more potential there is for stuff to go wrong. So that's just the way that I think of it. Again, I am not necessarily partial to the Tundra, but I do appreciate that. So you've got the bed, and you also have the power outlet over there because this has the iForce Max engine. And guys, I'm telling you, if you haven't experienced the iForce Max, if you haven't used a truck with the iForce Max engine, with all of its 583 pound-feet of torque, you're kind of missing out. Yeah, the iForce Max. Let's talk about this for a second, because like I said, if you're new to the whole Toyota thing, this is a big reason to get a Toyota Tundra or a Toyota Sequoia. And I say that as someone who grew up a big GM fan. I like small blocks, I like Ford's powertrains, but this thing, guys, it's just a different style. It's on another level. 583 pound-feet of torque. So you get 437 horsepower, 583 pound-feet of torque running through a 10-speed automatic transmission. And then, like this one, you have the TRD Off-road package, so that's going through all-wheel drive, well, four-wheel drive with low range, all the good stuff. So you have that too. But let's focus on the engine for a second. If you haven't driven an iForce Max, do yourself a favor and drive one, because this is a twin-turbo V6, right? And a lot of people are like, ooh, a twin-turbo V6. They're dropping the legendary V8 from the previous Tundra. I can assure you, from a power standpoint and an efficiency standpoint, but more from a power standpoint, you will not necessarily miss that engine, okay? Now, I know that that engine had a reputation for being just unbelievably reliable, but you have to earn that reputation over time, right? And this engine needs time to prove itself out. But from a power standpoint and from an ease of use, a daily livability standpoint, this thing is just so fantastic. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the iForce Max engine, and I don't say that lightly because I do love my V8s and I lament the fact that we are all kind of moving away from it. I like EVs, but I still like to have that kind of V8 power and rumble, but this thing just makes so much sense. For context, I drove the Sequoia TRD Pro. So we have a white Sequoia TRD Pro, and that's the one that I drove up here to the event, and then we're going to Destination Outdoor. I don't know if I'm driving it there, but I definitely kind of want to be behind the wheel of something with the iForce Max. So we have a couple Sequoias and a couple Tundras, and I'll probably be snagging the keys to one of those just because I find it so much more enjoyable to drive. Now, that's not to say that the Tundra's base powertrain isn't worthy. In fact, I recommend if you're looking for a value play, I think the Tundra with the base engine, especially in TRD Off-road, has a very compelling set of features, and you should absolutely check that out. Go watch my video about that when we first reviewed it. We took it on a road trip. We drove it for hundreds of miles, and I had a lot of positive things to say about just the regular powertrain. But when you get drunk on the power of the iForce Max, there's just no denying that shove and the way it uses the electric motor to make up for any kind of lag, and you just step off and go, and it gives you that wave of torque. It's so satisfying. Okay, check it out, for real. I'm not joking. Now let's talk about what is probably the most important upgrade to the Toyota Tundra when it comes to the 1794 edition, and that is the look and feel of the interior. Now, I've said before, I think the interior of the Tundra is fine. Like, it's okay. There's a lot of plastic in it, and there's some things that I don't love about that. But in the 1794 edition, you're getting leather, fake leather stitching all over everything. The materials feel, especially stuff like this pad up on top of the instrument cluster, like right here, that's like real and it feels very nice. You have the padded armrests, they feel so much more premium. These seats feel like they're on a whole nother level. Obviously you can see at 6'6", I have tons of space in this thing. The seat is motored back, but I could actually move it up because it's too far back when you are getting out of the car because it has the memory seats. You got the pano sunroof. Like, this interior feels, with minimal kind of upgrades, like a whole nother interior from the regular Tundra. So if you want a little bit more of that premium truck feel with all of the options, you got your heated and cooled seats, like I said, memory seats, and everything that you could want with a digital gauge cluster. Like, this is a much nicer place to be than some of the lower Tundra trims. Now, not without criticism, I will say that the fake wood looks and feels like fake wood. It looks nice from a distance, but it's definitely fake wood. And then some of the plastics that remain are just okay. But overall, this is a much needed and welcome upgrade to the Toyota Tundra interior, which is a very pleasant place to be from a sort of drivability standpoint, especially if you're a bigger person like I am. And the back seat works very well for larger people. See what I mean from a space standpoint? So one thing you have to realize is this seat is motored all the way back. So when it comes to legroom is not an issue. Now I will say with the pano roof, headroom is a little bit of an issue because I'm almost 6'6". And so when I'm sitting here, there's actually a little space behind where the roof retracts. But I don't think I'd want to be back here for a long time. Now, that's an extreme case because I'm extremely tall and, I would be driving if it was my car. But if you're going to be driving around abnormally large children, perhaps, you might want to take that into consideration and skip the pano roof on your Toyota Tundra. So should you buy the Toyota Tundra 1794 edition with the TRD Off-road package? Well, here are sort of my final thoughts. I like the Tundra fine. I like it better in TRD Pro mode, and I like it better when it's sort of all luxed out. In 1794, maybe Capstone, haven't tested that one yet, but it definitely feels like a little bit more compelling option. Now, here's the thing though. Spec'd out correctly, there is some value to be had in the Toyota Tundra. I know that's a crazy thing to say because truck prices are just astronomical now, and it's hard to talk about value in general in the car market. But the base engine TRD Off-road is something I really like if you're just looking for a truck with capability that's not going to break the bank. Also, the TRD Pro, to get all of that good stuff on a truck, it's not really Raptor level though, and so because of some of the markups in prices, you really need to think twice about what you're paying for that. And then there's this, where you have sort of all of the good things about the Toyota Tundra with just a little bit of extra specialness that justifies the price as well as makes you feel good about the purchase, and also improves the look and feel of the interior and a little bit of the outside as well, which are two of my kind of criticisms of the Toyota Tundra. So I think if you're like me, having those kind of three ways of purchasing the Toyota Tundra makes it a much more likely purchase for someone like me. I guess you'd have to decide on what you prioritize. And then that's not to say, well, obviously, the Toyota Tundra's reputation for reliability as well. As this model matures, there's going to be that factor too. How does it stack up to the F-150 and the Silverado and stuff long term? I will say from a driving standpoint, other than something like the GM 6.2 V8, which is just a monster, this iForce Max with that 583 pound-feet of torque, that alone makes a very powerful case for the Toyota Tundra. And me personally, I'd be willing to forgive some of my criticisms for how much I enjoyed the way this thing drives and the way it rides. If you are on the fence about the Toyota Tundra, my advice would be to try to take one for a test drive, and especially the iForce Max. Now, if you're looking for value, check out the base engine and see if you think it's powerful enough, because the base engine of the Tundra is more powerful than many of its competitors. But if you want a trucky truck and you want to feel like you're getting truck stuff with your truck, check out the iForce Max. Definitely keep an open mind. You might be surprised. Guys, if you like this video, please consider subscribing, please consider ringing the bell, please consider liking it, please consider hanging around the channel and just commenting randomly, whatever floats your boat. I really appreciate it. Megan and I love doing this, and we love bringing this content to you. I'm sorry she couldn't be here because I know she's more entertaining than me, but she is at home sick and couldn't join us on the camping trip. We thought maybe camping out in the wilderness when you are battling a pretty nasty cold, not the best idea. So she'll be back shortly, all right? And I will see you in the next video.